Welcome to the Switch Style Podcast, where we encourage you to think beyond what you hear. I'm your host, and I go by the name of Smooth. And audience, welcome back to the podcast. This is actually episode 57, and I'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown. We'll update the charts as usual for you. I'll let you know what's coming out this Friday, May 5th, and I'm actually reviewing Mary J. Blige's 14th studio album, which is titled Strength of a Woman. So stay tuned for that. But before we go any further, I do want to let you guys know you can find this podcast and all other 56 episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And if you go check it out on iTunes, please write us a review. We would definitely love that because it would help us out in the long run. And most importantly, we would really appreciate it. But again, you can find it on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And also check out the brand new jacksjournal.com. You can find all other 56 episodes of the podcast along with this one and my written reviews, which I'll read later on. You can find those at jacsjournal.com. Again, that's jacksjournal.com. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's update the charts. On the Billboard 200, Kendrick Lamar earns a second week at number 1 as Damn collects 239,000 units, 89,000 of those were traditional album sales. Rockstars, Incubus, they bow at number 4 with Incubus 8, earning 52,000 units, 49,000 were traditional album sales. And at number 8, The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Awesome Mix Volume 2 soundtrack, earns 34,000 units, mostly all of those were traditional album sales. And audience, if you're interested, if you're a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, I actually like the first one. But if you're interested, the movie itself, The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, it will be in theaters this Friday, May 5th. On the Hot 100, Bruno Mars grabs the top spot with That's What I Like. And for all of you R&B fans, this record has been brewing for quite some time. And it's set on the chart for quite a while because Bruno Mars' album actually came out in November of 2016. So the single has been making its way up the chart for quite some time, but also got a few other neat stats for you on That's What I Like and Bruno Mars in general. Just to let you guys know, Bruno Mars first hit number 1 in 2010 as a featured artist on B.O.B.'s Nothing on You. And here's a noteworthy stat. Bruno Mars currently leads all male artists with 7 number 1 hits this decade, and this decade meaning the 2010s. That's What I Like also moves Bruno Mars into a tie for 7th place among solo males in Hot 100 history. He is currently tied with Phil Collins, Frankie Valli, and Elvis Presley. And interesting note, if you don't know, Michael Jackson, he leads all solo males with 13 total number 1s. Also, just one more interesting note on Bruno Mars. He scored another number 1 hit as a co-writer of Flo Rida's Right Round in 2009. And to wrap things up on the Hot 100, EDM superstar Norwegian DJ Kygo and Selena Gomez, they take the top 10's final spot this week with It Ain't Me. And It Ain't Me is the first top 10 for Kygo and 7th for Selena Gomez. That actually rounds out the top 10 and chart news. But again, congratulations to Kendrick Lamar, who earns his second week at number 1 with Damn. And Bruno Mars, he scores his 7th number 1 on the Hot 100 with That's What I Like. So congrats to them both and everybody else who made waves on the charts this week. So let's go ahead and jump to what's new. This Friday, May 5th, 2017, look out for new albums from country star Chris Stapleton, who returns with his sophomore effort, From a Room Volume 1. Volume 2 is actually expected later this year, and I'm excited about Chris Stapleton. His last album, Traveler, was a really huge record last year, so I'm excited about that one. And next up is actually Def Jam MC Logic. He's back with his latest effort titled Everybody, and Logic, he's an amazing MC. This is actually, I think it's actually his 3rd proper studio album, so look out for that one. And R&B legend Patti LaBelle, she preps Belle Homage, which is a collection of jazz standards. And audience, or if you're younger and if you don't know Patti LaBelle, she does make music. She makes more than pies. So you can find her in a lot more places than just Walmart or wherever her pies are sold. But those pies are amazing. I can't even lie. I've had one myself. So shout out to Patti LaBelle. And blues duo Taj Mahal and Keb Mo, they team up on Taj Mo. Punk legends Blondie, they're back with Pollinator Box. Jazz vocalist Diana Krall, she returns with Turn Up the Quiet. And also, there were a few albums that I've missed in the past week or two, but they might be worth checking out. And the first is actually by DC's own Wale, who's back with Shine. And Shine was actually supposed to come out this week, but Wale actually pushed up the release date to April 28th. So look out for Wale. Look out for Young M.A. She's released her first EP, which is titled Her Story. And if you don't know Young M.A., she made a big splash last year with the single Ooh. So that was a big one for her. And I said it, if you go back a bunch of episodes, I said it last year. I thought it was one of the hardest songs I had heard last year. One of the hardest hip-hop songs I heard last year. So check out Young M.A. Check out PJ Morton, who's the son of Bishop Paul Morton. But PJ Morton does R&B himself. And PJ, he's put out a few albums. And he was actually a member of Maroon 5 at one point. He played keyboards for them. So check out PJ Morton. And last but not least, Eric Roberson. He released Earth, which is an EP. It's actually the first installment of his Earth, Wind, and Fire trilogy. And if you're not familiar with Eric Roberson, you can go back through the archive shows and check out our review of Tigolero. It was a collaborative album that he put out with Fonte. So go check that out. But again, look out for albums from Chris Stapleton, Logic, Patti LaBelle, Taj Mahal, Keb Mo, Blondie, Diana Krall, Wale, Young M.A., PJ Morton, and Eric Roberson. So that's actually it for what's new. I'll actually go ahead and give you my take on Mary J. Blige's Strength of a Woman. But before I do that, if you haven't heard any of our reviews before, I'd just like to give you a quick bio, just a quick rundown. If you don't know much about Mary J. Blige, I'll try to sum things up in a very convenient and efficient way. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Mary Jane Blige was born January 11th, 1971 in New York. Early in her career, she was signed to the now-defunct Uptown Records by CEO Andre Harrell at the age of 18. Mary J. Blige then partnered with Sean Puffy Combs, which led to her groundbreaking What's the 411 in 1992. And audience, if you're not familiar with Sean Puffy Combs, he's also known as Puff Daddy, Diddy, P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him, the man behind Bad Boy Entertainment, Ciroc, Sean John, and many other things. And also, audience, if you're not familiar with Uptown Records was also the home to acts like Guy, which featured Teddy Riley and Aaron Hall, Heavy D, Al B. Sure. Uptown Records was an amazing label back in the late 80s, early 90s. But that's how Mary J. Blige got her start. She was actually singing background vocals, and I think she actually sung some vocals for Father MC. But back to the Mary J. Blige bio. Her sophomore effort, My Life, it followed in 1995, and Share My World landed in 1997. Mary J. Blige earned her first Grammy Award in 1996 for her collaboration with Method Man on the classic I'll Be There For You, You're All I Need to Get By. Starting in 1999, Mary J. Blige continued her platinum success on the albums Mary, No More Drama, and Love and Life. The Grammy-winning album The Breakthrough arrived in December 2005, and half dozen albums followed after. To date, Mary J. Blige has sold over 50 million albums worldwide, released 14 studio albums, earned 9 Grammy Awards, and 5 #1 hits on Billboard's Hot R&B Hip-Hop Songs chart. And those 5 #1 hits include You Remind Me, Real Love, Not Gonna Cry, which was from the Waiting to Excel soundtrack, Family Affair, and Be Without You. Her current album, Strength of a Woman, was led by the single Thick of It, which hit #1 on Billboard's Adult R&B Songs chart in November of 2016, which was last year. And if you missed it, this is still a fairly new album. It came out April 28th of this year, 2017. So we'll go ahead and jump into it. I'll go ahead and give you guys my take on Mary J. Blige's latest. Truth can be the sweetest pain. Take a second and think about it. What could be so sweet about pain? Those last two words directly contradict each other. Yet, they simultaneously represent joy, distress, and an understanding of a hard-to-accept reality. If you're wondering, those are the words of Mary J. Blige, the queen of hip-hop soul. For much of Mary J. Blige's 25-year career, she has been attached to a specific narrative that has worked for and against her. The tale has always been that she makes her best music when going through something. In most cases, that something has referred to her high-profile relationships. It is unfortunate, but her 14th studio album, Strength of a Woman, gives credence to that same premise. Leading up to the album's April 2017 release, news of her crumbling marriage was the focus instead of the music itself. The situation has not been pleasant, but it has raised expectations for her most anticipated album in quite some time. The album's lead single, Thick of It, hit number 1 on Billboard's adult R&B chart in November 2016. It feels like the depths of outer space, but builds towards a dramatic last stand during the chorus. In the song, Mary J. Blige admits the complex nature of not only her marriage, but relationship in general. She also questions if her union is worth salvaging. Thick of It is more about presenting a choice rather than giving an ultimatum. She then voices her frustration and sets the record straight on the elegant Set Me Free. DJ Camper, who produced the song, he provides a lovely backdrop that borrows elements from contemporary gospel. It also produces the album's most honest take, and on that specific song, she says, "There's a special place in hell for you. You gonna pay for what you did to me." And audience, just to give you some backstory, she's been married to her husband, and who also served as her manager, Kendu Isaacs. Just to give you some backstory if you're not familiar, but if you're listening, chances are you're probably familiar with Kendu Isaacs and the situation as a whole. But back to my take. She notices the changes in her significant other, Kendu Isaacs, on It's Me. Mary J. Blige starts to get mixed signals and unwarranted questions from her husband, who's clearly drifting away. DJ Khaled, Missy Elliott, and Quavo show up to support on the Carefree Glow Up. Blige is clearly over the games at this point and decides to move on. Glow Up feels like a potential party starter, but Mary's ruthless mood overshadows her normally energetic guests. The Naked Truth is a bonus track not found on the album's standard version, but is among the best of the bunch. And audience, if you're interested, the album's deluxe edition with the bonus tracks on it, I think it's only available at Target. That's actually where I bought it myself. On The Naked Truth, Mary J. Blige, she experiences her most vulnerable moment as she bears her soul, admitting to missing the one who's causing her much heartache. The Queen and Brandon Bam Hodges completely nail You and Me, Love Lessons. And audience, Brandon Hodges, he's actually the producer of that song. You and Me, which is currently making its way around radio, it's destined to land on many future MJB compilations. She acknowledges overlooking early signs and the imperfections of the marriage in favor of love. Throughout Strength of a Woman, Mary J. Blige uncovers years of pain that have enabled her to push through this tough time. She also shows a tremendous amount of resolve on the album's remaining tracks. Throughout Mary J. Blige's career, her greatest strength, in my opinion, has been her ability to connect with fans who have suffered through similar experiences. She voices and articulates their struggle better than many of her contemporaries. Mary says it best on Survivor, "I paved the way for so many to break free." And she was pretty much saying, I've been through these things before, and I can share my experiences with you so that I can help you, so that they can be a benefit or a help to you. But to wrap things up, this isn't Mary J. Blige's first hardship, and I'm sure it won't be her last, but one thing is certain. Mary J. Blige sure is built to last. So there you go, audience. That's my review of Mary J. Blige's Strength of a Woman, or my take, actually. And you can find that written review on jacksjournal.com. Again, that's JACS journal.com. But just to wrap things up, and I said it earlier, the narrative works for and against Mary J. Blige. And it works for her in a way that it builds a certain anticipation. People always say that when Mary J. Blige is going through something, she tends to make her best music. And in a lot of cases in the past, that has been true. But in this case, I don't think it's entirely accurate, to say the least. Don't get me wrong, this is not a bad album. It's just not one of my favorites. And I said that the narrative works against her because the thing is we've seen this story before. We've seen it before, and she articulates it better than anyone else. And we've seen it before, and I think it works against her in that way. But overall, it's a solid album. There are some tracks on here that I think you should check out, and those tracks being It's Me, Set Me Free, You Plus Me. Glow Up is a fun track, like I said, with DJ Khaled, Missy Elliott, and Quavo. There are a lot of solid tracks on this album, but there's not 2 or 3 that just stand out among the best. Overall, it's a solid album, but I also think there are too many tracks on the album. This album includes 16 tracks if you get the Target edition of the album. And once you get past Indestructible, maybe Thank You, which is track 9 or 10, in my opinion, I started to lose focus, and the rest of the album is pretty much, in my opinion, filler material. But overall, it's another solid effort by Mary J. Blige. I hope everything works out for her good, and I'm sure it will with the marriage, that entire situation. It's unfortunate that she has to go through this, but I'm sure she'll definitely bounce back. She shows a lot of resolve throughout the album, so her experiences in the past will help her get through this. So congrats, Mary J. Blige. If you're a casual fan, there's a few songs you could probably download, but as a whole, I would say you could probably skip this one. But if you're a Mary J. Blige fan, definitely go pick it up. That's it. That's actually my take on Mary J. Blige's Strength of a Woman. That's it for me. But like I said, if you're a fan of Mary J. Blige, definitely go get it. Definitely go support her. Like I say every week, if you don't like the artist, I can understand you not buying it. But if you're a fan of Mary J. Blige, go out and support her. You know, artists, they need the support, and she's still signed to a major label. She's actually on Capitol Records now. This is actually her second record for Capitol, and I'm surprised she's still in that major label system. But again, congrats, Mary. And audience, if you want to hear this episode and all other episodes again, you can find them on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, and YouTube. And you can also find them on jacksjournal.com. Again, that's JACSjournal.com. You can also find my written reviews, and I've reviewed other albums this year, so you can check those out. If you have any questions, you can email me at switchstylepodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again, audience, for listening. I sincerely appreciate it. But again, reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. This is a wrap on episode 57 of the Switch Style Podcast, and I'll see you next time. Peace.